Now, a sea of brave women have continued to speak out against Taliban rule and the brutalities of Taliban against women in the past. India Today have been speaking to a number of these women who are joining us only to find out and understand the real plight that the women in Afghanistan currently are facing. In fact, we have one woman right here. She is the first woman pilot in the Afghan Air Force, Niloofar Rahmani, who's currently living in exile but wants to share her thoughts and her worries for all her fellow, her family members, her friends, her companions, her former colleagues, and what kind of fate do they have under the Taliban rule. Niloofar Rahmani, thank you very much for joining us with India Today, speaking to us and expressing your concern. You know, the kind of courage that you have, I can only imagine the kind of women who really can emulate what you've done, the courage that you have. I still marvel at it with the way you've emerged to be the first woman pilot in the Afghan Air Force in that war-torn country. You managed through and through. And I do know that the repercussions and in fact, the kind of hate that you received was devastating as well. I've read extensively. If you can take us through exactly what you feel today of the women in Afghanistan before I come to your struggles itself.
Well, thank you for having me. It's actually heartbreaking. It brings pain into my heart to think what the future of Afghan women is going to look like. I was one of them, even during the time that there was a freedom in Afghanistan, this last 20 years. And I still had to struggle. I still was a target for the Taliban. They just wanted to get rid of me and kill my family and myself, just to be a voice for Afghan women and just let them be free, be a human. And today, seeing Afghanistan collapse like that to the hand of Taliban, it absolutely, my heart bleeds to even think about it.
Niloofar, we do know that the Taliban has promised that they are going to ensure equal rights for women under the Sharia law. They have a caveat. Often they say that within the Sharia law, within Islamic law, we will ensure that the women are given equal opportunities. Can you stomach this promise? Do you believe them?
Well, I will be the first and last person that I would never believe this word. They have proven themselves in the past. They have proven themselves which kind of people and humans they are. They have always been against women. Their war is always against women. They always silence a woman. Everything they do is always against women. You know, nowadays in Kabul, we see there is no woman in the city. The appearance of woman is gone in the city. They already killed a woman just because she didn't have a burqa on. And in the Islam, they didn't tell you to kill a woman because that's how she wants to live. They are free to do whatever they want to do, but their law is completely different. And I do not believe what they say and what they promise to the world. I do not believe it. And it breaks my heart, and it's disappointing that how entire world believes that they changed. They're the same people that they've been 20, 25 years ago. And I do not believe, and I don't even want to believe that they have changed.
Niloofar, I'd like to ask you, you yourself lived under the Taliban rule at one point. You were young, you were just going to school. In fact, when the Taliban was ruling Afghanistan, you barely got opportunities to go to school. Women were deprived, treated like second-class citizens. They, in fact, they're not even a citizen. They're overlooked, they're beaten, they're targeted, raped constantly. Sidelined extensively. If you can tell me your experience as a woman under the Taliban rule while you were back then.
I still have a nightmare about it, thinking, you know, I was a child growing up under that government. I have seen my own mother got beat up by the Taliban because she had a sick child to take it to the hospital, and my father couldn't make it on time to go with her, and that's how she just got beat up. And I have seen my neighbor that they killed her father to take her daughter just as their slaves. And it's terrible. Like, you know, I just think about that in the past, and I see how violent they can be, and they even can be worse now, because we already been witness of how many provinces in Afghanistan they already been going to the houses. They have been taking the little girls, and just as their slaves, they're forcing them, they're taking them away from their family. And Which kind of human does that? Which kind of human take away 8, 9 years old little girl from their own parents? This is horrible. What they do is horrible. And they start showing this already in a couple weeks. And I'm just speechless to even express my feeling, how upset and worried I am for the future of the Afghan woman and those girls and women that they never ever thought this is going to be freedom of Afghanistan. This is going to be the future of Afghanistan after 20 years of freedom. And the world was, in Afghanistan, tried to help, tried to bring freedom and peace for the girls. And now it's all gone. In a blink of our eyes, it's all gone. And it's really, frustrating to see this. And I don't know how the world is silenced.
Well, you braved it all. In fact, you lived the Taliban rule, and then right after the United States forces came in, you got opportunities, you managed to study, you managed to fly. And that was a dream quite unlikely that you finally achieved. In 2013, you became formally the first Afghan Air Force pilot, a woman pilot, and that came with enough and more casualties. We hear that your father was thrown out of his job, your parents were targeted, your brother was attacked by assassins twice. You yourself would wear a burqa to and from home to reach the airbase every day, only so that you escape your killers. So they've been targeting you from time that you've attempted at living your dream, or just working. As a working woman itself, it's hard.
Absolutely. I've been on their target list since I started to raise my voice and be a voice for Afghan women and wear the uniform and serve my country. And I am so thankful that I had a parents that they supported me entire way that I am alive, because I can't even believe, and until nowadays, I even think what I have done wrong. Why these people are so scared of a woman. Why they are scared of a woman? It doesn't make sense to me. If I am strong, if I do something, and if I'm a successful person for my country, for my people, what does it hurt the Taliban? And it just doesn't make sense to me how afraid they are. How afraid of women they are. I have seen this. I have been targeted by them, and I have been getting death threats from them, and I had to flee my country, in 2013. And then I actually came to India just for help, to be there to escape the Taliban. And I had to go back to the country, thought the life is going to be, this threat's going to be over. But unfortunately, never been, because they believe that if they just kill you, that's an honor kill for them. And they just show to the other girls and other women that even they try to do something, if they raise their voice, this is going to be their future. This is going to what they end up with. And I did not want that. And that's why I wanted to be a voice for the woman, to be, they see me in the uniform. They will be encouraged to just say, no, we have to raise our voice. We have to do something. But that never been the case. I was the one, that's why I say I would never believe what the Taliban says or promises, because I have lived that life. I know how that looks like. And it's so disappointing and unfortunate, as an Afghan woman, to see this is all happening again in Afghanistan, and what I have been through and what I have experienced. I know most of the girls in Afghanistan, they will live in a dark life for sure.
Well, you were asked to leave Afghanistan because of the kind of threat that you had to your own life in 2019. And of course, you were, let me also remind our viewers that the US State Department honored Niloofar with the International Women of Courage Award. She was then brought into the United States, met with Michelle Obama. How did that feel, Niloofar, for you to be fighting in your home country, not being recognized, in fact, further being targeted, but internationally, the kind of welcome and the credit that you received? What did that feel like, to be in a place of freedom?
Well, it definitely was amazing, to see that your own country, people are so against women, against the woman's voice and freedom, that they don't even see what you have done for the country and what you're trying to do. All you're trying to do is serve and be part of the same equal society, that a man wear uniform and a man can fly an airplane. A woman can do the same as well. But that never been the case. I have been in the country that they would just try to get rid of me. They didn't want me to be there. They have disqualified me a couple times just because they didn't want me to be a pilot. And to see that internationally, they really appreciate and they know, what it takes to get there. And it was absolutely amazing experience. And I can tell that I was happy because I wanted the girls in Afghanistan to see that I know it's going to be risky, it's going to be dangerous, but at least the world can see that. The world can see the change. The world that spent over, like in 20 years in Afghanistan, Afghanistan changed to a bright future. It's not that Afghanistan that the women were just supposed to be at home, be a housewife and raise children. But unfortunately, that never was the case. Even though I came back to my country and people didn't even recognize that. And it meant nothing to them because I was a woman and I achieved that award. But if it was a man, of course, that will be a pride and it will be very pride for everybody.
Niloofar, I'd like to ask you, while the United States forces was in Afghanistan, at that point in time, you still found threat from the Taliban. They were trying to hunt you down from all corners. They threatened your family. Your family was forced to flee the country. They were forced to leave because you wanted to pursue your dream as a pilot.
Absolutely, because that's the unfortunate part that I wish target was only on me. If it was on me, I have took that risk and I could live with it, and I didn't care if I was killed and what happened to me. But unfortunately, this ended up to, get over all my family, like my parents, my brother, my sisters. They've been all targeted. And, this is the worst thing for a person to see that your family is in danger. And the only sad part is that in Afghanistan, if they believe that I brought a shame for them, because as a woman, I was not supposed to wear the uniform and fly and fought against the Taliban or, be in the military and do what I have done. And unfortunately, I was not only the target, my own family, as you mentioned earlier, they tried to kill my brother twice and my father and my entire family was affected with that because they believe that if they couldn't reach one person, if they couldn't reach me, they could kill any member of my family, including an infant. And that would be an honor kill for them, that they would show to the society and the country that, yes, she was a symbol of, shame. She brought shame to the country for going against their law, and she deserved to be killed, and her family also.
Well, Niloofar, I'd like to ask you, Taliban constantly says that they will ensure equal rights and opportunities for women under the Sharia law. You're all Muslims. You're also Muslim who followed the Sharia law. But what kind of Sharia law says that women can be discriminated against? They should be suppressed. They should be kept at home. They should be beaten, raped, no rights, not rights being given to them. What kind of Sharia law says that? What kind of interpretation?
Well, for them, first of all, the equality doesn't exist on their book. If they say we will give an equal right, equality does not exist on their book. That's completely a lie. And plus, like as a Muslim woman, all I know is that I was a child and learning and, being my parents being a good example for my life. All I knew is be a good person, don't hurt other person, and let a woman to do. Women are a human. Let's just why we can just look at every person first as a human, then we say is a man or a woman. But this does not exist on their law. And unfortunately, for over years and years that I never could learn what they mean by this Sharia law. Is it something that they created by their own probably laws? Because for me, as a Muslim, growing up, all I learned is just be peaceful and give every human a law, like voice and freedom to do what they're supposed to do, and don't be violent, don't hurt anybody. But in their book, they hurt people. That's not what Islam says. They punish people for something that they did and it's against their law. That's not what Islam says. And it's unfortunate for me to see that their law is something that even doesn't make sense for most of the good Muslims.
And what we right now fear, Niloofar, is that we're just worried that Afghanistan will now become a breeding ground for terror. And we know that they have harbored many terror groups like the Al-Qaeda. What kind of Taliban do you remember at your point of time? We hear that Taliban was something like a small replica of Paris at one point. What's your memory of Kabul through your growing years and the time that you achieved your dream when it was free from the Taliban for a short span of time?
For the first time when me and my parents came back to Afghanistan and Taliban was still in the country, and the first time entering Kabul, the Kabul that my parents, explaining to me when I was a child as an immigrant, and this was different. They would tell me the best thing ever. And my point and the view I had first time seeing Afghanistan under the Taliban regime, I see people hanging out and they hang people in the middle of the city. They would do any type of things that it would look right on their law. And I can't even express how terrible that can get, even though back 20 years ago, they were not that strong. Now, I have a feeling they even came back stronger. And let me just say one more thing, that I have a message that I don't know why world doesn't put a pressure in Pakistan. Who support Taliban? And we all know who. And it just breaks my heart to even, explain and say that why they don't let Afghanistan to be peaceful. And I would ask the world kindly that please, for the future of the child and the children in Afghanistan, I want the world to raise their voice. I want the world to just fight at least for the future of those little kids in Afghanistan, and just put a pressure on Pakistan to stop whatever they're doing, whatever game they're playing. I would just ask the world that please just put pressure on them to stop this game.
Well, it's awful, and I'm glad that you've spoken up and you've spoken your mind. A final word, what you'd like to say to the fellow women who are currently stranded in Afghanistan, who see no way out?
Well, all I can say is that just be strong. And
all right.
And I can't even, say, because that's not going to be even their choice. And I would just ask that, please, everybody open their borders, that for those women, for those girls that they need help, please support them and don't let them to be the victim of, Taliban, to get killed and be tortured just right. because they've been a woman and they raised their voice. And if they see what the Taliban do to the little girls, and they've taken them away from their families, and if they are staying silent, there's no humanity.
The heart-wrenching visuals that we see of women handing over their children, even if that means that they are separated from their children, they just want their children to leave. That's how much they dread the Taliban. Thank you very much, Niloofar Rahmani, for joining us and sharing your thoughts. More courage to you. I hope you're safe and doing well. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.